we are here today at the Inclusive Fintech Forum, the second edition. The first one was in 2023, and it gathered about 2,000 delegates, and we are happy that this event today has brought over 3,000 people from all across the world. So it's a gathering that brings regulators, innovators, founders, but also investors that are interested in knowing more about the fintech, the new developments, the technologies, but also how to make financial services more inclusive for the African continent and the people of Africa. Because we have noticed that access to finance is a big issue, especially for people living not in the capital cities, and inclusion is very important.
We just got launched by Monetary Authority of Singapore. We do what we call as a global advisory in terms of forums, advisory, traditional consulting, and technology platform. And we try to bring it all together to provide a comprehensive advisory services. We're also going to launch a fund which will invest in fintech and climate tech and finance fintech connected to climate tech. Also kind of global south focused. But broadly, the organization brings three things together. As our minister spoke yesterday at the conference, we bring people, idea, and capital together. So people means bringing people together, as you see in IFF here. When you bring all three together, it becomes a global ecosystem builder. And what we are doing here is part of our global network. The Inclusive Fintech Forum, which was started last year, is part of our global construct of making Africa part of the global fintech network in terms of thought leadership, in terms of discussing issues which important to Africa, but also globally relevant, so that the world can learn from Africa and Africa can learn from the world. Singapore was traditionally a strong financial center. What happened in 2015, we took a step forward to add technology to the whole space of financial center hub. And that decision we took in 2015 led to this huge growth of fintech as a core value proposition in Singapore. But Singapore is a small market. It doesn't that big as a market as a fintech, but it serves the Asian market as a hub. So people come to Singapore, they set up their fintech companies, and they do business in Singapore. They also do business in Asian market. So it's kind of a gateway to the Asian market through Singapore. And that's how Singapore became a global hub, apart from the other things we do beyond Singapore by partnering with countries outside Singapore, example being Rwanda here. I'll give you one example how fintech changed things in Singapore. One example being a payment platform called PayNow, which is a domestic payment platform which made life easier. With 3 clicks now you can move money to each other at zero cost. QR code being a form factor to receive money, is easier to send money. Now that's not only thing we did in Singapore. We connected PayNow to other markets outside Singapore. For example, to Thailand, Malaysia, India, and so people can also send money easily using that PayNow fintech in the same way they would send money to their friends in Singapore. So that facilitating the payment network definitely created a huge economic opportunity to improve trade, finance, more tourists coming to both to Singapore, outside Singapore, more e-commerce growth coming out of the PayNow's facilitation of payment. So there are multiple ways to define how it affected the Singapore's broader economic growth. Well, I would say when I say Singapore partnering with Africa, it's actually broader Asia partnership, and Singapore is just a country who's representing the Asian interest in Africa. To us, Africa is the country of the continent of the future. Young population, that's the last remaining highly vibrant economy. It's only going to grow up, and with other markets slowing down, Africa has a huge opportunity to grow in the next 10-20 years. That's one thing. Second thing, Africa also becoming a global hub for talent. As more and more people get exposed to new technology, new businesses, the next generation talent pool will come from Africa. So talent, growth opportunity, and innovation coming from Africa also teaches us something very interesting. It teaches us how to build system in a sustainable way. So Africa will be a global leader when it comes to sustainable financial system solutions, because the market has constraint. Smart innovator will develop solutions which is not only effective in Africa, also being effective wherever we want to deploy such solutions.
So in terms of fintech, which is a very important sector on the entrepreneurial ecosystem, first, historically, when you look at how we have emerged as a continent, fintech was at the forefront and very highly supported by foundational kind of infrastructure that had been established by other stakeholders. I'm talking about telecommunication infrastructure that really helped in supporting the growth of fintech. And of course, the tools such as mobile phone has been extremely helpful. And today when you talk about fintech on the continent, it's been used to solve needs that are extremely important for our populations, right? Example of M-Pesa from Kenya, and of course today we're talking about Flutterwave, Paystack, and many other fintechs that are really solving issues related to not only access to finance, but making it as inclusive as possible. So, is Africa solving for the world? I will want to say that Africa is solving for itself first, at scale. And some of these tools that have been built on the continent are so relevant that they could be applicable everywhere in the world. You understand what I mean? Because if you look at some of the challenges that Africa has today in terms of, for example, financial inclusion, you can identify the similar challenges in the Middle East or in Asia or in, in Latin America. So this similarity actually shows that whatever is built here at excellence can also contribute to impacting lives elsewhere. And I must say that so far there's a proof that there's an emerging excellence in building world-class companies on the continent, and I can't just wait to see what the future holds. But I'm very sure that we have built something excellent on the continent, and fintech ecosystem is emerging every day. We're not just talking about loans, we're talking about saving, micro insurances, many other products that will come together to make access to finance inclusive and adaptable.